Have you ever noticed how listening to music can affect your mood? We have one of those wireless gadgets in our home where if you speak a special phrase to get its attention, you can ask it for the weather forecast or a football game score or to play any kind of music that you can imagine. If I think about it enough, I'm not completely comfortable with having this thing that's always listening in on any and every conversation I'm having and just waiting for that right combination of magic words. On the other hand, we are so boring. We're not plotting any murders or sharing national security secrets or anything. So, is it an invasion of our privacy, really? Probably. But again, if someone really cares about our big decision over whether we should eat broccoli or sweet potatoes tonight, then okay. The convenience, though, of saying, hey, play some Frank Sinatra music, and then the house is filled with, come fly with me, let's fly away. That's pretty cool. I've always known. I've always known that music can affect my mood. If Come Fly With Me is playing, and I know I'm showing my age, but I really love that kind of music, then I literally feel uplifted and joyful, and life is good. But if the next Frank Sinatra song that comes on is in the wee small hours of the morning, which if you don't know it is pretty dark, then boom, suddenly I'm brought down to earth and feeling deep longing and despair over how I've messed up my relationship with the woman I love, and now she won't even call me on the phone. I'm filled with this aching melancholy. And the dumb thing, of course, is none of that's even true. Elle does call me occasionally if I've been good. Music has that kind of power. The folks who wrote those lyrics and who put those notes on a page, if it's done well, can change our whole perspective in an instant. And the best songwriters are those with the ability to express what's deep in our hearts that resonates with how we're feeling and to express what we most need to hear. That's been true forever in human history. Music to celebrate, to mourn, to give thanks, to express fear. And it's important to keep in mind when we hear the words of any psalm from the Bible. They were written so long ago, no one can say with any absolute certainty that all of them were even set to music, but it's obvious. It's obvious that so many of them were, because if you read the Psalms in the original Hebrew, you get a much better sense of the rhythm and the flow. It's a lot like looking at an old building. There may not be a sign on the door of that building anymore identifying that old building as a church, but if it has a steeple or a tower and stained glass windows with pictures of Jesus, then you're pretty sure you're looking at an old church. It's the same with so many psalms. They were set to music, and like any good music, the lyrics really matter. So some lift you up, some are celebratory, some are melancholy, some are very introspective. Some are just like prayers, beseeching God for deliverance and protection. They all mention God in one way or another, and they use terrific imagery to describe the nature of God. God is like an eagle, offering protection from harm, but also like an eagle, raising you up when you're down. And even though God might be the object of many psalms, I'm also fascinated by the subject. Why was someone writing these words anyway? Why did the writer take a sudden shift from speaking from the perspective of the one who's asking for help to the point of view of God making promises that helps right there on the way? There's an interesting dance going on here. Now, in Psalm 91, which would have been on the list of the Bible's greatest hits, the person who wrote those lyrics has God saying something that sounds wonderful. Those who love me, I will deliver. I will protect those who know my name. When they call to me, I will answer them. I will be with them in trouble. I will rescue them and honor them. With long life, I will satisfy them and show them my salvation. So, is this an affirmation of faith? Does it express a hope? I would say yes to that. But the thing is, surely back when this psalm was written, and today, we all know darn well that what's being promised in these lyrics just doesn't always work out that way. We can know God's name and believe in God and love God, but we've all had the experience of needing deliverance and just not getting it. We've all had times when we needed rescue, but were left floundering. And not everyone gets to enjoy a long life. So it raises a question that a lot of people wonder about, whether you've gone to church faithfully all your life or you don't claim any faith at all. The question's this: when you hear something like this, when you hear promises being made that don't always come true, at least in ways we expect and we need them to come true, then what do you do with that? Do you say, well, I suppose I just didn't try hard enough or pray earnestly enough, or I haven't pleased God enough? I've been in churches where that's the message, that if things aren't working out for you, if life is rough, if something inexplicable and sad and unfair happens, then that means you must not be living right. By the way, that is so dumb. So please don't ever believe that about yourself. What I've heard more frequently when bad stuff happens or something mysterious and maybe inconvenient happens is people who say this: everything happens for a reason. It makes sense to believe that everything happens for a reason because we can learn early on to trust in cause and effect. A toddler pushes the ball across the floor. If she pushes the ball lightly, it doesn't roll very much. If she pushes it quickly and with force, that ball rolls far and fast. Cause and effect. There must be a reason for everything, because the alternative is really too frightening to contemplate. If there's not a reason why stuff happens, then the world is random chaos, and that's just mind-blowing. We need some order to make sense of things. In fact, the very first story in the Bible, Genesis chapter 1, is that God created order out of chaos. Everything was a formless void, remember? Wind blowing over the waves, nothing stable or solid. And then God said, we need some light. And ding, there was light. We need some dry land over here. And voila, there's the Jersey Shore, or someplace like that. So while we're asking why Psalm 91 was written and why it's all about promises of protection and care and long life, maybe we should also ask why the guys who wrote Genesis start the story of creation with images of stability and order and being molded out of chaos and confusion. Is there a common theme here? What was going on in the real lives of those writers? I suspect that what was going on in their lives was just real life, where things can be chaotic and confusing and bad things happen to good people for no apparent reason. I suspect they wrote what they did because they and we are pretty much always on the hunt for answers to that stuff. It's not a satisfying answer when you get a cancer diagnosis for the doctor to say, well, it looks like this originated in the lungs, but we don't know why, because you never smoked or you never were exposed to anything that might have caused that. In other words, it just happened and, well, we don't know why. I was in the room when that explanation was given to someone that I loved, so I know how this works. It's incredibly frustrating because we want to know why. We need to understand that cause and effect means something, that the world isn't ruled by chaos, that there's a reason for things. Maybe not a good reason, but at least there's a reason. And that leads us back to Psalm 91 and to a lot of other places in Scripture where we're promised God's protection and care. But when we need it most, and we do pray very, very hard for it, bad stuff can still happen. Does that mean we haven't tried hard enough or prayed well enough or we haven't met God's standards? No. I believe it means we're listening to the lyrics to a song that understands what it means to be human. And a huge piece of what it means to be human is to have hope and faith and trust, even when there's no good reason to. Why do we need a reason anyway to believe in those things that we just can't explain? Things like love. I believe in that. I also believe that, yes, the world is chaotic and unfair and unreasonable. You don't have to go very far to know that. Just read the news. Or just visit with the person you're closest to right now, and you'll both have plenty of war stories to share about how some things have not worked out for no good reason. But also listen for the hope and faith and trust, alive and well in spite of all the no good reasons. And if you don't hear those hopeful lyrics, reach out your hand and your heart and sing them. Be present. Be that moment of protection and deliverance and care. Be that promise. Give and receive that hope. Make it real for them. Be the reason for that when no reason for anything else is showing up. Be the one who shows up. Be the order in the chaos. Be the guardian angel protecting. Be the eagle sheltering and raising up. Be the presence of God who's always connecting us together in love, and who'll never leave us abandoned, and who will bring us safely home. Write that song and sing it and live it. And even if those promises sound too good to be true, you'll understand and believe and trust and hope in them anyway, because that's the kind of life we're made for.